Vindication, brother. Vindication. 7 years of a past transgression finally put to peace. Finally made right. I am so proud of you right now, I could cry. But we're also at the point now where you have one more episode. And then that's it. No more Walking Dead. How's it gonna end, bro? In your mind, what would be the perfect ending for the series? A happy one? A bittersweet one? Or a gut-wrenching one? Those are your options, pretty much. Happy, bittersweet, or gut-wrenching. Well, you'll find out in about 12 or 13 hours or so, which we can mark this down. At the end of May 2022 is the day that Slick Games finished The Walking Dead. For good. And if I remember correctly, it took you about, what, maybe 2 months to finish everything? About? That sound about right? 2 months about? So, whereas you had 2 months to finish, to wrap up all that, it took me over 10 years to amass the collection. And to wait, and to wait, and to wait for the episodes to drop, and to wait for the yearly hiatuses in between. Maybe that's why I grew such an attachment to this series, because I had to wait for the episodes to drop instead of just, booting up the episode right after the next one. I don't know. But what I do know is that we're going to go into these stats for episode 3, Broken Toys. Relationships and choices. So let's dive right into it, shall we? Myself and 11% of players forced Abel to turn into a walker. Whereas yourself and 89% of players mercy killed Abel. This decision was very unlike you. I was kind of shocked that you were like talking about, oh, this is really sad all of a sudden. It got really depressing. He said he didn't want to be a walker. After everything this fucker did, why would you abide by his wishes? Plus, if you let him sweat like I did, I got him to give up some more information. I was like, nah, you tell me what I want to know first, and then I'll see if I want to mercy kill you or not. You should go back and watch my stream, bro, on how that unfolded, because it was very, very, very dark and very, very, if you thought that was depressing, you should have seen what happened if you let him turn. I mean, pretty much, what happens, But go back and watch my stream, bro, if you want to see what happens. But I was in the minority. You were in the majority. You mercy killed Abel. I was like, nah. You didn't deserve mercy. He don't deserve anything, as a matter of fact. So that's what I did. I let him turn, and then I I told AJ to not look away, because there was, right after he died, there was an option where to either look away if you want to, or don't look away. I told AJ, hey, don't look away. So AJ saw the process. He saw how someone is a walker, which he needed to see it. He never saw it before. So I don't agree with what you did. I don't, because I thought that mercy killing him was too much of a let-off. It was like a slap on the wrist, pretty much. It was kind of like you were giving him a pass. Because I really wanted to torture him. And I figured what would be the best torture than to extinguish all his hope and then have him come back as a walker. That is like the most brutal way to torture somebody. And the way I was speaking, the way my tactics, I got him to give up more than you did. But doesn't really matter, I guess, because he's dead. It's just the process was different. Instead of Abel being dead, for me, he was undead, turned, i.e. But I'll go into that. I'll talk about individual relationships later on when we get to the section. But I'm just gonna go over the choices and what they were right now. So that's what I'm gonna do. Okay. Anyway, moving on. Myself and 3% of players ignored James' wishes and killed all the walkers in the camp. You only killed some of the walkers in his camp. What it was is, and I remember you talking about, oh, well, you know, if I could have killed all of them, I would have. Well, you had to be quick about it. You had to not dilly-dally. You had to be, and you had to hit triangle a lot more often. Because sometimes, the way I play it, only use circle to break them up if they're like in groups. Otherwise, hit triangle, because it takes a while, but so is stunning them and finishing them off anyway. But that's how I did it. I hit triangle a lot more often than you did, and I was very fast about it. And I think it was also on a timer. If you were able to stun them enough times, the timer the next scene would have played out. But so there is a way to get past that scene without killing any of the walkers, but I don't do that shit. I mean, just to always hit circle and to stun them, no way in hell. There's no fucking way. So, and I know you did the math on this one. Yeah, 103%. I don't know where they got this figure from, but I think I read somewhere that the stats are kind of misleading at some points. But pretty much, I actively hunted, I guess in his words, actively hunted the walkers before they got to me. Whereas you were kind of like playing defense, but you were still killing them. So, I don't know where to really begin talking about this one, because like you were part of the 100%, but I guess I was part of the extra percent. I think the way I look at it, half of the players respected James's wishes and killed none of the walkers. The other half, well, not quite half. If that 1% was 3%, that's what I would see it as. So, I would say your half and the other half was respecting James's wishes. The other dimension was people like me who actively hunted them, who hit triangle too many times, I guess. But that's what I did, and you and I were in the same area pretty much. But I know you would have said, well, if I would have known that, I would have killed all of them. Well, you would have had to hit triangle a few times, not just stun them or be fast about it, because it was on timer. That scene when James asked you about, oh, well, don't kill him, please don't kill him, that was all on a timer. So, I don't really know why people were taken in by his bullshit, but I don't know. But, I don't get that. I really don't get that one at all. But you said what you wanted to say, but I did what you wanted to do. So if you want to see how to do it, go back and watch my section. So that's the best way I can describe it, man, because it was there, and I was like there in the moment. But you had the right idea. You just had to be a little bit more quicker and a little bit more responsive, that's all. Moving on. Fuck you, Raiders. Now, you said that out of all those names that Ruby's Revenge sounded the most dope, and while it was, I named it Mitch's Masterpiece purely just to please Willie. I thought he would like that, and I thought it would also be like a nice little nod to Mitch, because I kind of liked him in the end. Yeah, he was a fucking asshole to me right after AJ killed Marlon, but later on, and the way I played in the way, and because I decided to burn Miss Martin rather than bury her, I also got like some like a extra bonding segment with Mitch, and he was talking about how, oh, I'll change my vote or whatever. So he was kind of cool with me in the end. But then, of course, you know, like Telltale fashion, the character that has the most redeeming qualities and has the most bond, has the most likable personality gets killed in the most merciless way possible. It happened to Pete, and it happened to Mitch. I felt like if Mitch stuck around a little bit more, he could have been like Marlon, but not quite as hot-headed or not quite as narcissistic, if you get my meaning. And the way to name the bomb AJ, I think, is to not say anything at all. I think AJ comes over and names it or whatever. But I think that's how you get that name, is if you don't say anything at all when Willie asks what to name it. If you hit triangle, I believe. But majority of players named it Mitch's masterpiece, or Mitch's masterpiece, and I think a lot of us did that just to please Willie, and because, you know, it was kind of like you know, a big brother to him. So, but yeah, that's why I named it that. But I do like Ruby's Revenge, but it's like, I didn't like Ruby. It's like, I don't like you, Ruby. I don't like you. It's like, you're fat and ugly. Alright, moving on. Yes. Fuck Dorian. I think her name was, yeah, Dorian. Fuck that bitch, man. And I loved your reaction to her talking to AJ. Hey yo, you better chill the fuck out. It was like, and it was like, hey yo, and it was like, oh, like that triggered the ghetto in you right away, bro. It's like, oh, okay, you want to talk like that? Oh, now I gotta go. Now it's a fucking challenge, right? You want to bring the hey yo shit up in my house? Oh, now it's a fucking challenge. So I think that's what kind of triggered you in a few aspects. Because your face kind of shifted also, because when I was watching you play, I was like, when she said "Hey yo," you were like "Hey yo," and you were like almost offended by that. So I was like, oh, nice. The way to trigger something, bro. But yeah, and thank fuck we did that, bro, because if you wouldn't have done that, she would have cut off Violet's finger. Yeah, would have cut off her finger, and that's even worse. You know, tons fingers. Which also, well, I'll get to that when I talked about the relationships with the people. But remember this: fingers and tons. Remember that. But yeah, I let AJ take the risk, and he fucking Mike Tyson that bitch and bit her fucking ear off, and it was so fucking satisfying. Like, you have no idea how satisfying it was to see him do that shit. And yeah, he Rick Grimes the fuck out of her, and this was after season 4 or 5, because this was like way after that area. So they kind of I think they kind of brought that over from the comic books and the TV show. Well, because that scene was verbatim in the comic book, like panel per panel. That scene was in the comic book, so pretty badass. So, and since Skybound made the comics, they wanted to incorporate that scene, I think, a little bit in that version. So, fucking badass as hell. I know I'm kind of rambling and ranting, and I'm not making a lot of sense. I don't know what's going on right now, but it's like I want to keep talking. I want to keep, you know, you entertained, and want to keep on doing whatever the fuck I can do to make sure that you're entertained by these videos. Anyway, 14% of players stopped AJ and let Dorian cut off the friend's finger, which, when it says friend, it could have been either Violet or Lewis, depending on who you saved, which I'll in episode 2, which I'll go over that later on. But we followed the herd. You, myself, and 86% of players allowed AJ to attack Dorian, stopping her from cutting off your friend's finger, i.e. Violet, for both of us. Moving on. Oh yeah. Yeah, bro. I am shocked how close it was. 53 to 47. There's only a 3% difference of players who shot her and didn't shoot her. And I'll go over the consequences, which, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go over some spoiler stuff in the relationship section of the stats. So if you don't want to know anything that could have happened in episode 3, if you picked something different, don't watch it. But it's not going to be anything major or anything heavy. And plus, you played episode 3, which it's not going to be anything spoiler heavy, but it is kind of like a spoiler if you don't do certain things. But anyway, you're probably wondering, well, what happens if you tell AJ to not shoot Lily? Which I don't know why you would be wondering that. I never wondered that for a second. I was screaming at the fucking screen the entire time. Like, and I remember the first time I played this, I was 24, bro, right? So this was so fresh in my mind. I was screaming at the screen to, oh, you idiot, kill her! Just fucking kill her already, because it was just, I was so fucking tired of everyone trying to give her a second chance. They didn't know her like I knew her. They didn't see what she did in the beginning. And that's why I'm so fucking glad that you followed the curve. And I followed the curve. Myself, yourself, and 53% of players told AJ to kill Lily. And in doing so, brother, you saved a character. And I'll tell you who it is when I get to the relationship section. But anyway, majority. Moving on. Okay. So that concludes pretty much the choices, the 5 main choices that you made throughout the section of the game. So here's mine. Minority, minority, majority, majority, majority. Yours was majority, half, pretty much majority. Oh no, sorry. Yours was majority, half, minority, majority, majority. So anyway, those were the in-game decisions pretty much. Not a whole lot to talk about because we were pretty much, like I said, the only 2 things that we did differently was that I turned Abel when you killed Abel, and I was able to kill all the walkers around the camp. But anyway, let's move on to the ending stats and the relationship statuses. So we're gonna get into some spoiler territory for episode 4. Sorry, not episode 4. Episode 3. Nothing too major, but it's still kind of spoiler-ish if you want to go back and decide and make different choices. So here we go. First and foremost, Violet, she is MIA. And I'll let you go over mine. Right now, I felt romantic with her, and she was embarrassed when I didn't want to hear why she was sent to Erickson, which I didn't care why she got sent to Erickson, bro. It didn't matter to me. She was also thankful to me that I also let her let Dorian cut off her finger. I didn't let that happen. So there's that. James could have been dead, bro. There it is. If you told AJ to drop the gun and not kill Lily, Lily would have drew a knife from her boot and stabbed James like she did Mitch. So I am so glad that you shot her, bro, because otherwise James would have been dead. But I don't think James really cares about them too much because, you know, if you do what he wants AJ to do, he ends up dying for it. Isn't that ironic? But here's mine. He was frustrated that I killed off all the walkers in his camp. He was disenchanted that he didn't see them. They're more to being walkers. And James was devastated that I told AJ to kill Lily. AJ, he's MIA too. Have no idea where he's at. I also made him unsettled, making him watch Abel turn into a walker. And I kind of insulted him when I refused to hear him out on about being walkers together. I didn't want to hear that. I just, oh no. I want to talk about that. And that's a little helped him feel powerful. Now here's the first difference, bro. Whereas you had Abel dead, I had Abel turned. Oh, and by the way, do you notice there's anything different about him, bro? In my version? Oh yeah, the fact that he has no left arm. So, even if you attack him, bro, in episode 1, he still survives it by cutting off the goddamn bite. He gets bitten by the walkers, but he still cuts it off and survives it. Ain't that some shit? And I terrified him when I refused to promise him mercy. And I made him feel powerless when I told him I would make him talk, even if he was a walker. And I left him as a walker. Dead! She could have been either dead or MIA. She was unfazed. Well, doesn't matter now. She's dead. Hold on, let's go back into that. Yeah, fuck you, bitch. Okay, bro, here it is. I'm going to reveal what happens if you save Lewis in episode 2, rather than Violet. Right now, Lewis is MIA. He was traumatized after his time spent with the Raiders. I also was able to pacify him when I told him I regretted letting him get taken. I was very apologetic towards him. I was like, I'm sorry I let you get taken, bro. If I had known, I wouldn't have let them take you. But here's the flip side. Are you ready, bro? If you let Violet get taken by the Raiders and you save Lewis instead, their roles switch. Lewis is with you throughout episode 3, and you don't see Violet until you encounter her in the jail cell along with Omar and Asim. And Lily gouges out Violet's eyes. Lily takes Violet's sight, whereas Lily took Lewis's speech, i.e. cutting off his tongue, or cutting out his tongue. So if you would have let Violet get taken by the Raiders, she would have been blinded by this point. But Lewis would still have a tongue. So at this point, bro, it's damned if you do, damned if you don't. One of your friends gets severely maimed. Violet either gets blinded, or Lewis gets his tongue cut out. You tell me what's worse. Having your eyes gouged out and not being able to see, or getting your tongue cut out and not being able to talk. I don't know about you, but I think having my tongue ripped out is worse. Because you take away someone's sight, they can adapt by using their hearing and everything else. But I don't know, man. But thankfully, I'm so glad that you saved Violet, because I wouldn't want her to get hurt like that. But at the cost of Lewis losing his tongue. And yeah, bro, it's terrifying. But that's a good question to put in the comments. Put your answer in the comments, bro. What would you rather have taken away from you? Your tongue, where you can't talk anymore, or your eyeballs, where you can't see anything ever again? So what would you rather lose? Your sight or your speech? I don't know, man. I don't know. But anyway, let's move on. Yeah, 10. Right now, I'm a little pissed off at him right now. I told him that the plan's failure was his fault, pretty much. It was true. Willie had a lot of sense. The plan failed because Tennessee came out of cover. And I also bothered him when I went and tell Minerva that he forgave her, because I was true, man. He wasn't going to listen to her. He wasn't going to listen to anything I had to say. So he's MIA. I have no idea where he's at. Minerva, she's MIA right now too. Mine was different though. I'll let you go ahead and read that. She was irredeemable. I gave her one chance to come home. I was like, right when Lily came and like, you know, told her to like go away, I gave her a chance to say, hey, come with us right now. Leave with us right now. We can get out of here. And she took off in the opposite directions. So I was like, okay, I'll give you a chance. You're an enemy now to me. And I told her, instead of telling her that Ten forgave her, I told her that he was here with us. So I was like, yeah, he's here with us. Go outside and check. So that was that. And then pretty much, bro, the only confirmed alive people are Rosie, Willie, and Ruby. Because they were, well, first of all, Rosie is at the school. And Willie and Ruby were taking care of the supplies and the horses. So last time we saw them, they were alive, and they were not on the boat. They were not on the ship. So Omar and Asima, they're also MIA. Don't know where they're at. But anyway, bro, that's that. That is to save the school for right now, and those are my relationships and what would have happened if you went the opposite direction. If you would have saved Lewis, you would have had him with you the entire time, episode 3, but Violet would have lost her sight. And if you told AJ to lower the gun, Lily would have killed James. So I think you did a great job, man. A fantastic job. Let's move on now. Alright, man. The collectibles. Alright. So I was proud. I'm so sorry that I fell asleep on you before I got a chance to tell you that they're scattered, but there were 2 in the basement before interrogating Abel. There were 2 on the ground while you were scouting the SS Stuart Fitzgerald, the ship, with Willie, Violet, and AJ. And there were 2 at James's barn. The pennant, which, well, here it is from left to right, top to bottom. Beatnik, Horseshoe, Erickson pennant, Rabbit's Foot, Sketch Toy, and Wind Chimes. The Erickson pennant was the first one you could have gotten. You hovered over it, actually. It was hanging on the wall in the basement, but you did not. Instead, you went for the duct tape. But it was the pennant, bro. It was like the pennant flag that was hanging up on the wall. That was the first collectible, and you hovered over it, bro, and it even had the pop-up. It's a pick up Erickson pennant, but you didn't see it, or you got distracted or whatever, and you went to the opposite direction. So you could have got that one, but you missed it. But it was in the basement, along with the sketch toy, which is found on the shelf too. But you have to find those items before you interrogate Abel, which means walk to the right of Rosie. So they're all right there. They're all right next to Rosie, like left and right of Rosie, pretty much. So that's 2. The next 2, Rabbit's Foot and the Horseshoe. If you go back and watch my stream, I have a hard time finding them myself, but they're on the ground, bro. When you're scouting out the ship, they're on the ground. You have to like look down and like walk around and then look for the pop-ups. Rabbit's Foot and a Horseshoe. The Horseshoe was fell off one of the horses from the Raiders, and the Rabbit's Foot was, I think, Omar's, but not sure about that. So that's what those were 4 right there. And then the final 2. So there were no collectibles on the ship at all. The final 2 collectibles were at James's barn. So 2, 4, 6. And that was Beatnik and the Wind Chimes. You got those. You got Beatnik, the Wind Chimes, and the sketch toy. However, you did not hang up the Wind Chimes. You had to look up to the ceiling on your room to hang out. It was right next to like a hanging lantern. Kind of hard to find, but go back and watch my stream if you want to know where it's at. But yeah, bro. So there, it was so funny watching you play during the ship sequence, because you were thinking, oh, it's collectibles here, collectibles here. I was like, bro, you missed them a long time ago. You were like, nah, you passed them all way back, way back. When you were scouting the ship, that's when you should have been looking for them. But you were like talking to everybody, and which is fine, which is fine. But yeah, those are the 6 that are that are available in this episode. All right, my dude, that's pretty much about it. Been talking about a half hour now. I'm going to go ahead and end it right there, and I'm going to leave you with this little tidbit of information just to stress you out a little bit. I have only played Take Us Back once. I'm kind of debating whether or not to play it after you play it or before you play it, but I have only played this episode once. I've replayed all the other episodes, but this episode is special to me. Having said that, I want you to be ready, man. Just to be ready for anything. Because they knew that people were going to be hyped for this episode, and they knew it had to be special. It's special. It's very special. I love this episode, and I fucking hate this episode at the same time. I'm gonna leave you with that. It's now 3 o'clock where I'm at, probably 4 o'clock where you're at. I'm gonna edit this and send it to you. Watch it before you stream this episode. It's only 30 minutes long. Alright? Alright, bro. I will talk to you later, and I will see you for the series finale of The Walking Dead later on this morning. Peace!